Great. So welcome. My name is Katie Pazda. I am a regional director with AIFS Abroad, and I'm here today with my colleague. I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle Ortiz. I'm an enrollment coordinator, so I will be working very closely with you guys on any, questions, dreams, aspirations to going abroad. So it's exciting.
Great. So just to give you a sense for what we're going to chat about today, we're going to go over the cities of London and Barcelona. We sort of took an approach of spending about 24 hours in each city just to get you excited about the location. And then at the very end, we can talk a little bit about the programs available there. So I'm going to talk about London first. So what can you do with 24 hours in London? Well, what I'd recommend is you start off by getting breakfast to go at Pret a Manger or a local cafe and taking it to the Tower of London before the Tower of London opens. Tower of London is a popular tourist destination. That's where you can go visit the crown jewels. They don't let you take photos in that location and you stand on a conveyor belt to go past them. But there's a lot of rich history here. So that's a good site to visit. Early in the morning, I would suggest. From there, you've got a couple different ways to cross the Thames outside of just taking the tube or the overground. So you can walk over the Millennium Bridge, which you might recognize from the Harry Potter movies, or you can walk over Tower Bridge as well. Tower Bridge at the very top there, and by the way, don't mistake it for London Bridge. This is called Tower Bridge. You can walk over this area, this upper area, and there are kind of clear insets. So if you don't get dizzy, you can look down or take photos of the Thames below the bridge as well there. Next, you can pop over to one of the the V&A, the Victoria Albert Museum, the National Gallery. This is the outside of the British Museum. And then over here is the Tate Modern, if you're more interested in art. London has a ton of museums, and the nice thing is most of them are free. They might have a recommended donation, but you can access all of this for free while you're out and about in London. Then I'd suggest you take a break. Maybe instead of lunch, you can take a later afternoon snack and enjoy either cream tea or high tea at a local cafe or tea shop. Nice thing is that this is pretty widespread. So you don't have to go to a big fancy hotel, but you could if you wanted to. Or you can go to a smaller place as well to enjoy cream tea or high tea. After that, if you're in the mood for shopping, I'd recommend you go stop by Covent Garden and visit some of the shops there. Or if you want something more upscale, London has a lot to offer in terms of shopping you can do while you're there. And then most are interested in getting kind of like the big panoramic view of London. There's several cool locations to do that from. One is the Shard. So the view you see across the bottom of the screen is taken from the Shard, which is this building here over next to Tower Bridge. Another thing you can do is take that giant Ferris wheel, the London Eye, to get a nice kind of panoramic view of the city. And you can do that throughout the day at any time, but those are kind of nice to see at sunset if you're looking for more of like the evening look of London. Then I'm particularly into theater, so I always recommend you see a show. You can always see a show at the rebuilt Shakespeare's Globe Theater, which is on the bank of the Thames River next to Millennium Bridge and the Tate Modern. If you get a groundlings ticket, you have to stand the entire show, which is how it would have been way back in the day when Shakespeare's plays originally aired. Or if you want, you can get a seat up kind of in the balcony and mezzanine areas here. Or you could see something more modern and watch a show on the West End. Some shows you might be familiar with are Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, The Play That Goes Wrong, and then over here is Six, featuring the 6 wives of Henry VIII. Finally, you might stop at a local pub to get a meal. You can get food at pubs, or get takeaway from a chip shop. And getting takeaway would be a good option if you want to go spend some time in some of London's green spaces, a park or a garden. There's Hyde Park, Regent's Park. Featured down here is Kensington Gardens. So even though London is a big metropolitan city, there's also a lot of green space you can enjoy as well. So just to highlight some of the things to get you excited about London, again, it's one of the most visited cities in the world. You have world famous museums all throughout the city. It's very multicultural. There's 270 nationalities represented, as well as 300 languages in London. It's home to 4 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. So I see I've already mentioned one, the Tower of London, as well as Westminster Palace, where Big Ben is, Kew's Royal Botanical Gardens, and Maritime Greenwich, where you can go visit I just blanked on the name of it, the Meridian Line. There's the London Eye. You have access to a lot of top music and sporting events in London, as well as numerous theaters, which I addressed. There's food markets, parks, exhibitions, and festivals going on. Royal palaces. If you want, you can take a trip out to Windsor Castle, as well as Buckingham Palace while you're there. There's some cutting edge fashion and design. And the city is incredibly well connected via the tube and the overground, and buses are reliable too. So you've got a good way of getting around if you don't want to walk everywhere. All right, now I'm going to turn it over to Michelle.
Sorry, I was muted. Well, now we're going to do 24 hours in Barcelona. Let me see. Hopefully this is the right one. Okay, perfect. So the first stop that I would definitely recommend is to visit your local coffee shop. Go ahead and have like a quick just a quick snack. Usually people tend to have like a smaller breakfast in Spain. So what they do is just have like a café con leche and a bocadillo. And usually they pair it up with a tostada, which is like a piece of toast with this tomato sauce that they make. And it's really, really delicious. It's like tomato and olive oil and like different herbs, but it's like a tomato toast, I would say, with coffee. And they also have like one like a croissant with chocolate or something like that. But definitely a tortilla is also a good option as well, which is on the side. It's like an egg cake, I would say. It has eggs, potatoes. It's, I would say, like an omelet-ish, but they pair it up with like a piece of bread, and it's really, really quite delicious. So they have their own technique of making it. So I think that's like a good way to start off the day, get a good, energizer in there and get going. So the second place that I would definitely recommend you to visit would be La Sagrada Familia. It has been under construction for over 140 years. So it's definitely a masterpiece by architect Antonio Gaudi. So this has been ongoing, and they're saying it's going to be finished in the next couple of years. So hopefully by like 2026, 2025, they're planning on reaching it. You currently could go inside, and just from the outside view, as soon as you hit that metro stop outside of the quarter, or like you just go and you get a taxi there, you automatically see the masterpiece, and it's huge and it's such a beautiful view and it's like breathtaking. But inside it's really, really, truly beautiful. You can get like a tour inside for a couple of euros and just kind of spend the day kind of looking at the architecture. So a lot of Barcelonian architecture is inspired by the artist Antonio Gaudi and different artists as well. So like Parkwell and different other, you'll just walk around the city and you can tell that it's like this Gothic vibe. So it's really nice. So on that same note, Parkwell would be definitely a must stop. It's a free park. You can go inside, you can take like a metro stop there and do a little, it's like a mini hike to get there, but it's such a nice view once you get there. You get like a breathtaking view of the city. You can hang out with your friends, just hang out. The little houses look like gingerbread houses, so it's like the architecture is very much different, very contemporary, and very like symbolic of like Barcelonian culture. And then for sure take a snack at La Boqueria. So I know like by this time you're going to be definitely hungry. So La Boqueria is a place where it's definitely emblematic in Barcelona for just Spanish like market culture. So in Spain, market culture is very big. Like every Spanish person tends to go to whether it's in Barcelona or in Madrid, they go to markets to like kind of hang out, have a drink, have some snacks. Like they like to pick. Spanish eatery is just very much picking. Like it's like mostly talking and chit chatting, but picking and trying a little bit of everything. So La Boqueria is a great example because you can like have a very savory snack, but then you can also have like a little dessert, or like you can grab a fruit for like €1 and just take it, and you have so many options. There's so many diversity. You'll have like Mexican food there as well, and Indian food, and it's just like spices, and it's really cool. It's very colorful and it's very beautiful to the eye. It's nice to just roam around, and even if you're not hungry, you will definitely be hungry right after that. And for sure, if you are a soccer fanatic, I cannot express this, as much as I can, but just visiting Camp Nou is such a big thing. There are currently two soccer teams in Spain, in Barcelona, that are extremely famous. Well, it would be number one, Barcelona FC, and then El Español. But in terms of Spanish people are known for soccer, and they have the two biggest rivals, which is Real Madrid and Barcelona, and it's always like El Clásico is definitely a must watch. It's very much life changing. I will say you will lose your voice for a couple of days, but if you have the opportunity of visiting Camp Nou, you definitely can. You can pay like €19, I believe, or something like that. If you're a student, you get a discount. You can go in and just visit, just all this legendary and legends. So this is the house of Messi and Neymar and Ronaldinho, and currently Piqué and Dani Alves are playing there right now. You get kind of just to be immersed in soccer and get that great feeling. Look at the cups that they've won. It's truly amazing. But Camp Nou as a whole is actually the biggest stadium in all of Spain, and they are the fourth largest stadiums, and they can hold various amounts of people. So they're great for like World Cups and all these like really cool events that they do. So it's the fourth largest in the world. So it's definitely a must visit. Las Ramblas and the Gothic Quarter. So after that, I definitely recommend everyone to just kind of take a stroll, debrief, de-stress. Las Ramblas is like a great place for you to go shopping. It's known for a lot of European tourists to travel and to go. So people from Berlin fly in, people from Paris, people from all over Europe fly into Las Ramblas because of the great stores that they have. They have great brands, Zara, Desigual, a lot of Spanish really high-end brands, and not so high-end brands that are currently there that you can just drive by and walk by and take a stroll. Also, there's a lot of like street market stuff. So you can just literally just explore and walk into the stores, take out, get some souvenirs for sure. But the Gothic Quarter is a really good place to just hang out. It feels very fresh. The architecture is really nice, so it feels like you are immersed in another world. It's really cool to kind of see, like, you're like, where am I? Am I in Barcelona, or am I in, like, I don't know, like a movie feel? So it's really cool. Definitely must stop, grab some ice cream, hang out, look at people watch. I think that's always like a really fun thing to do. And for sure, I would definitely recommend to end the day. I mean, there's so many dinner recommendations that I can think of, but I think one that you won't ever forget is picking up like a quick bite. It could be a patatas bravas, that's classic for Spanish people, and some croquetas, which are also very, very classic. And you can just bring them to the beach. So the really awesome thing about Barcelona is that there's shopping, there's city, there's soccer, there's industrial parts of it, there's museums, there's hiking, there's so many things to do, but there's also a beach. So I think that definitely makes Barcelona stand out from the rest of Europe, and it's obviously one of the reasons why a lot of people love it and visit it, every single year. But take a stroll on the beach, grab some snacks, and just have like a sunset picnic. I think that would be a perfect way to end your day. So some of the highlights, I mean, like I've said, there's a lot of stuff for creativity. It's a known city for students and people who love arts and who love being creative, who love architecture, who love history as well. So definitely it has a lot of treasures for modern and contemporary art. So you can definitely go visit some of the museums like the Picasso Museum, and a lot of great Spanish artists like Dali and Picasso all come from Spain. So especially it's like a really cool city to go explore and take a look at these arts. So we have great beaches, great weather. It's a very cosmopolitan environment. Has a lot of European taste and character, but with a very warm vibe. So it's a really cool place.
All right. So now that you're excited about these two cities, there's two programs that Coastal Carolina University features that we offer, one in London, one in Barcelona. So our program in London is through our London Global Education Center. We've got term options in fall, spring, summer, and January term, although I don't think the J term works great with the CCU calendar. And in terms of courses, there's a pretty wide variety. I won't read off that list. But it's a broad catalog that you can take. So if you're interested in doing a semester, you can do that. There is also the option to intern and study in London. So if you wanted to do a part-time international internship as well as take two courses, you have that option at the London site as well. Just a lot of different options, and I would say even more options in the summer. In terms of if you're just looking for a class or two, London's a great place to be. And then in Barcelona, the program is at Universitat Autònoma de Barcelona. Again, you've got those same term options for fall, spring, summer, and J term if that works for your schedule. The course offering is going to be a little bit more concentrated in terms of focusing on things like architecture, art history. Business is particularly popular at UAB. Communications, economics, history, literature, politics, and of course, Spanish language. Yeah, I think that was all I wanted to say about Barcelona. So I think we can turn it over to any questions that we might want to address, Lori, or how students get started, maybe if they're interested in one of these programs. Lori, sorry, you're on mute.
Okay, how about now? Sorry. You mentioned internships in London. Can you give me some examples of internship placements that have been in that area in the past?
Sure. Michelle, you look like you're ready to hop in.
Well, in terms of internships, just recently, we have been working with students with all kinds of interests, and we try to kind of find new ways of getting what their interests really are and the placements that we have. And like, let's say if they have interest in fashion, they have interest in psychology, try to like merge and pick two placements, one that is very broad and one that is very specific, and we kind of mesh and find that perfect place for them. But just recently, like from my personal students that I've placed and I've seen that they're placing, a girl who had like an immense interest in architecture and in museums and historical research, she just placed in the Museum of Architecture in London. So it's like perfect. It was like a perfect connection. I had a student who was like really into like policy making and wanting to look at laws and healthcare. So he's working with like an NGO that helps with develop those policies and overlook those policies. There's another student who is doing some business work with like the Chamber of Commerce in London. So that's like another really cool thing. Another a lot of like students that are very interested in like theater, it's like really cool for them because they get to work with like actual theater companies that are currently making plays or working behind the scenes and getting in writing those scripts and like editing and seeing the creations come to life, especially in London, which is such a big aspect in theater. So yeah, they have like from Shakespearean experience to like more contemporary stuff. So there's a lot of placements. What we really try to do is just mesh and speak with those students. And that's where I would come in to really interview them and talk to them and see what their goals are. I ask questions from like, what do you see yourself doing in the next couple of years after graduation? But also like, what's your dream company? And people come with me like, Vogue, I want to work at Vogue. And I'm like, that's awesome. Like, I'm not cutting your dreams. I want to work at Google. I want to work for, I don't know, for like London PD, whatever it is. Like, they have the craziest goals. And I try to find like a good medium and say, okay, well, this would be like a good starting point. So we work very closely with the advisors and we work very closely with the placement directors in our countries. So we like write notes about the students and we, you know, interact and say, hey, like the student really wants to be placed in this specific thing or wants to get experience in this specific thing. So we work very closely with trying to get, you know, good placements for the students.
Okay, on that note, thank you, Michelle. On that note, so it would be a combination of classwork and internship work as well, or is it one or the other?
Students have the option to, if they just want to study abroad, they can do that. If they want to do a combination, they can do that. And if they just want to intern, they can do that as well. So London is actually pretty versatile in terms of the options they can do. It's really up to what's the best fit for the student. Usually if they're doing the study and intern option, they're probably taking 2 to 3 courses on site and then doing an internship part-time.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. So thank you, Katie. Yes.
Yeah, so for sure part-time, and they still get really cool experience. They still work with real companies in the country, so they still manage to do best. It's like a best of both worlds, if you ask me. So it's great.
Starting the process. Obviously, since we're recording this and this is for students, you would start with our office, the Center for Global Engagement, and apply through us. There are steps that we go through this office, helping you to identify courses at both of these locations, these programs that would fit into your academic program to satisfy your degree requirements. So that would be the first 2 steps. If you are students planning to use any of your existing federal financial aid or scholarships, that is something critical that you work with our office, and we guide you to the appropriate department office here on campus. So basically you're doing the first 3 steps, those I just mentioned, and then you would apply also to AIFS. So you're going to be, if you're doing these programs, you're going to be applying to 2 different applications, ours as well as AIFS's. And then we work together, meaning our office and AIFS, we work together to hopefully provide you with a seamless and wonderful experience. And then after your program is complete, we receive your transcripts, provided you making passing grades. Your transfer work will be brought back to Coastal, and it will satisfy those pre-approved courses that we started with in step 2 prior to your departing. So Katie, Michelle, do you have any questions for me? And anything new and exciting that we should be aware of and passing on to our students? COVID-related health, that's obviously a big concern for everyone. So the support for students who may find themselves preparing to leave and needing to be tested en route, and then obviously getting there and maybe not, maybe testing positive. So support that AIFS provides to our students.
Yeah, so I can take it. I think definitely what we are incorporating now, since we understand, and now we have been, with COVID for a couple of years, so we have a very good understanding of how things can happen. We have a plan B, C, and D at this point, so we know the situations because they have happened. We're definitely recommending all of our students to, if they are traveling, advising them to not travel before, or just to kind of simmer down a little bit before leaving abroad, just because we don't want them to test positive once they get there and they could be missing out on stuff. But other than that, all of our students have to be fully vaccinated, and they do have to have a booster in order to partake in any of our programs. So that's a big, big deal. Promoting that for our students, in order, if they do want to go abroad, they do have to follow CDC regulations that are being partaken in other countries. So a lot of the times, we don't have control of like what London is doing, what Barcelona is doing, what any other of these specific countries or regions are doing. So we definitely follow, and we have a team abroad who is being informed every single day of like what are the current changes. Certain regulations have changed, mask mandates, what's happening indoors, what's happening outdoors, and definitely this information gets passed on to us and we pass it on to our students. Once they get abroad, they are informed on like how to get tested, if they do have to quarantine. So a lot of stuff has changed and is going to continue to change. Some leaves, returns. So we are currently like just following what location CDC rules are happening there, and we inform them with those information to our students. And definitely, if kids ever feel like they're not safe or like they want to come home or whatever it is, we have a team of people who are very experienced and who are currently living there. So they have definitely 24/7 support. If like anything were to happen, they were to get sick, let's say, and they just feel like they want someone to go to the doctor with them, or they don't know how to get there, or whatever it is, we have a team who definitely will help take care of them and will help guide them through everything while they are abroad. They're definitely not alone.
Yeah, I'll add to that students on our programs are covered under CISI International Medical Insurance. That covers for things like trip delays. So if a student gets sick at the end of a program, it actually helps cover their costs if they have to stay in country because they need to isolate or quarantine due to testing positive. Like Michelle mentioned, we have on-site resident directors and staff in all locations, so students aren't trying to figure it out solo. We are coordinating with our staff in country and in the US, and we're communicating with your school as well so that CCU knows if something's happening, and they can also help support you. The other thing I was going to add, and it's gone now, but
Thank you. Housing at both locations. What are the accommodations for students?
So housing for both locations, it really depends. We go based on, cost of living and all that stuff and like what's currently happening. But what I tell students to expect is like an apartment style living. You will be sharing typically an apartment with another, usually in London, they call it a flat. So, and in Barcelona, they call it a piso. So same concept, different language, but you share like common space with other students who are in the program. It's not co-ed, so it would be like if you're a girl, other girls in the program who are doing maybe a different kind of internship, if that's what you're doing. If you're doing internship, if you're doing study abroad, they have various other accommodations for it. So it just depends on the program that you are enlisting in. It has different there's like a homestay option. It depends on like what program you're doing, but definitely if you're doing an internship, I think a great recommendation that I always tell students is to go on our Instagram page and look at there's some tours of the current housing, and it's so cool to watch. You're like, wow, like these kids are living better. They have like a movie room and a movie theater and a gym and like a lounging area and so many things. And I'm like, I wish I lived like that. So there's definitely really cool videos on there, so you guys can take a look at what kind of accommodations. Also, students are doing like their day by day. A lot of students are taking over our Instagram for the day, and they're just showing you like what a day in their life looks like when they wake up and how they go. And, you know, and it's cool to also see like how they're living, you know, currently with COVID. So you get to know like, oh, okay, like this is what's kind of happening right now, how they walk to their job and when they come back. So it's a really good good start to look at.
What I was going to add in terms of COVID is that we factor that into where we continue to run programs. So we've been running programs for the past several semesters, but we have canceled programs or put them on hold in cases where we know the experience really just isn't going to be up to where we want it. So of course, things are a little different right now with the pandemic. That's going to vary from location to location, but in a location where the experience would be so compromised that you were essentially only going to class and not really getting to go out and do any of the cultural activities, those are usually areas where we said, okay, we're not going to run that this semester, we'll run it in a future semester. We're excited because we're able to bring our locations back in Australia online. So internships will start back up there this summer, and then semester will start back up in fall. New Zealand will probably start later. Right now, we're anticipating next spring. So there are locations we're continuing to bring back into operation as things open up. Same with our Japan program. So we decided we are not running our Japan program this summer because of the way entry requirements are at this point in time. Mm-hmm. We'll likely run that in January term for the first time.
Well, I want to thank you both, Katie, Michelle. This was very informative, and we will certainly look forward to having students join your programs. Again, I can't thank you enough, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you so much. It was great talking to you guys, and we're here to help. So thank you.
Thank you again. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.